What's up guys, my name is Dan, the lead video producer for the Muscle and Strength channel. Now over the past 5 years, Muscle and Strength has traveled all across North America producing bodybuilding and fitness content. So today we are going to break down 10 epic behind the scenes memories from some of my personal favorite shoots. Let's get started. Now we're going to start this off right with some donut burgers. Brandon Henderson just won the Olympia and he flew in from Chicago for a 2-day shoot with us inside of the Muscle and Strength gym. To wrap up the shoot, we wanted to try our new cheat meal concept. And what better place to do that than at the South Carolina State Fair?
Today, you're gonna get a cheat meal with me. Let's get it.
Now all of this sounds great, but when you stop and think about logistics, you begin to wonder how the employee at the ticket counter reacts seeing a jack dude in a stringer walk up with some guy holding a massive camera. When we got up to buy the tickets, the man asked, "Are you guys with the news?" We looked at each other for a second and nodded. "Yeah, Muscle and Strength." He smiled and let us inside and gave us full access to filming whatever we wanted on the fairgrounds. Good vibes flooded the shoot after that. Being on location, filming food, and great candid fan reactions made this video something really special. Back in 2016, clips of Chris Bumstead flooded our Instagram feeds as he prepped for the North Americans. Early into 2017, the production team had a shoot lined up with C-Bum to come to the Muscle and Strength headquarters to film some content. After filming training literally all day, Chris asked how the deadlift platform was. For me personally, the deadlift is my favorite lift, and the platform at Muscle and Strength is incredible. So I asked Chris if he wanted to see for himself. I started up the camera and just casually started filming, and before I knew it, he had 3, 4, then 5 plates on the bar. It quickly turned into one of my favorite in-house training videos that we've filmed. If you follow bodybuilding, there's a pretty good chance that you've seen at least one clip of Ronnie training, or at least screaming, "Yeah! Oh my God! Yeah, buddy!" After getting approval to film Ronnie, both at Metroflex and inside of his home, we flew to Dallas and got right to work. Walking into the original Metroflex gym for the first time was honestly an amazing experience. It basically looked identical to the DVDs I used to watch when I first started competing. It was also hot, like over 90 degrees inside. Now the goal of the video was simply to have Ronnie highlight some of his iconic lifts.
I'll never forget that day because that was the day that I never thought I'd be able to see. And how that 800 pound squat came about, I had already did the 800 pound deadlift, and I'm like, I wonder if I could squat 800 pounds.
Getting to capture Corey, Gus, Brian, and of course Ronnie's reaction to these epic accomplishments was really something special.
People tell me they want to gain weight. I eat a lot of food. Then you see, you'll go out with them and you're like, you don't eat. That's what you call eating? I'm like, you want to grow, you need to eat.
Full Day of Eating has become one of the most popular shows on this channel. And this video with Juan Morel was the start of it all. When we arrived in New York, we were greeted by one of the nicest athletes we've met to date. Meal 1 quickly set the tone for how many calories Juan really does eat, and as the hours went on, the portion sizes kept going up. Now typically on a shoot, we do not eat with the athlete. It takes away from filming the necessary B-roll and sound bites that are needed to complete each show. So the second shooter and myself decided that we'd break off and grab a meal at a nearby diner before filming Juan's dinner at one of his favorite restaurants, Vincent's Clam Bar. We ate a pretty decent amount of food and we were both pretty full when we walked into the restaurant with our cameras. The second we sat down, we told Juan we weren't gonna eat, just to make sure we got all the content we needed. He insisted that we did, and honestly, after looking around at the food, we agreed. We all feasted on pizza, pasta, and various other menu items that kept appearing on the table. After a few hours of digesting, we actually drove up to Bev's and trained legs and had a pretty epic pizza quad pump. I started getting into training in bodybuilding when I was 13. There was always one specific pro that I really looked up to, and that was Jay Cutler. I remember Jay actually traveled through my hometown for a meet and greet when I was in 8th grade. When the Muscle and Strength team locked in a shoot with Jay in Vegas, I was beyond excited.
Welcome to the home of Jay Cutler, 4-time Mr. O.
Jay was like, go ahead and film B-roll, whatever, do whatever you gotta do. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. So I walked into his trophy room and I was just like, oh man, like, I'm like in Jay Cutler's house filming B-roll. It's pretty cool.
You know, it's one of those things that everyone kind of has their dream car. This is pretty much my everyday driver, believe it or not. Of course, it's got the umbrella, right? It's got the Rolls umbrella, so.
Out of all the shows we create, the What It Takes series is one of my personal favorites. When an athlete agrees to invite us to film literally just about every moment of their days leading up to a contest, it provides the viewers a real look at just how hard the sport of bodybuilding is, both mentally and physically. Sadik and the GAT team agreed on the shoot, literally 3 weeks prior to the Arnold Classic. We started the day super early in the morning, and within the first hour, Sadik started getting real with the camera.
How do you be the best in the world if you have balance? Well, you know what? I do this 80%. Fuck the other 20%. If you want to be the best in the world, something you go 100%. You let this thing consume you, and eventually, what consumes you will destroy you. And that's what being the best in the world is. That's why so little people can call themselves Mr. Olympia.
If you haven't seen this 2-part series, I highly recommend checking it out.
It's a cliche, but you have to eat big to get big. I mean, it's a simple fact. Every meal counts.
The Muscle and Strength Breakfast series has been around for quite a while. However, there have been a few staple episodes that really set the show off. Now, we always have a good time working with Fouad. He's a great athlete with a ton of knowledge in bodybuilding and nutrition. So this was a really fun way to kick things off. He made so much food.
Gotta look good to taste good. I used to be a chef. Believe it or not, it doesn't look like it anymore. I think I've lost all my skills, but you know, I worked in a couple restaurants.
I mean, it was an insanely high calorie breakfast, and I realized quickly, I was like, this dude can eat. Go check out his channel if you have a chance. I met Lee at an NPC bodybuilding show held in his hometown of Spartanburg, South Carolina. One of my mentors in the sport of bodybuilding was close to him and got us in contact afterwards to set up a sit-down interview shoot with him in his home outside of Atlanta, Georgia.
Athletes don't give enough time to bring it about growth and muscle maturity in the different body parts. They're now in a system where they would train one body part a week. Legs once a week, calves once a week, particularly calves.
Unfortunately, my calves have never been a strong point, so I quietly crossed my legs, attempting to hide mine as he began talking about the topic. Regardless, everything he was saying made a lot of sense, and it made me realize that there was a lot of information I was going to personally take away from this shoot. It isn't every day you get to work with an Olympian, which makes this shoot truly special. This video takes us back to 2015, fairly soon after Phil had won his 5th Olympia title. We traveled to Denver, Colorado for a jam-packed 3-day shoot. This shoot was really special to me just because of how much effort both the crew and Phil put into making sure we got everything we needed to complete the edit. I think I look back at this shoot as one that really set the tone for what we were capable of doing in the future with other athletes. As a bodybuilding fan, I always enjoy watching bodybuilders do normal things outside of the gym, and I think this video does a really great job of showing that. Regan lives in London, Ontario, and the shoot was scheduled to be shot in January. Now, if you know anything about Canada, in January it's extremely cold and almost guaranteed to be snowing. So Regan asked me if he wanted to shoot in LA. Regan and I always have a lot of fun filming together.
Well, a big staple would be this for sure. You know. Cheese. This is Monterey Jack. I have about 1 pound with each meal, so.
This was a great shoot, packed with a lot of great information and a lot of epic calories. All right guys, there you have it. 10 epic behind the scenes memories from some of my favorite shoots. Thanks so much for watching, and as always, be sure to Dude, this is hard. Be sure to like I always like tell people like it's not that hard to say it. Thanks so much for watching, and as always, be sure to like and subscribe.